Welcome in Line by Line. My guest
Hello.
is Dust2Dust, and we are analyzing a song by Killswitch engine, My Last Serenade. So, Dust, why did you pick that song?
I picked that song because it deals with the concept of hiding behind kind of a self-righteousness, kind of like a little bit like the scribes and the Pharisees being hypocrites, but it's not really quite that. It's about somebody who's bitter and kind of blames everybody. So they're hiding behind bitterness, so to speak. And I find that that was an excellent way for me to consider the things that I deal with when I consider faith versus action, heart versus our activities, and also the way that we view ourselves or persona. Yeah.
I like that. That's a
Thank you.
deep kind of insight. Yeah.
Well, it involves, it's a great song. I think it involves a lot of interesting doctrines that I'm used to as a Christian. So
Well, thank you for bringing it. Let's analyze it.
I guess I'll start with just this is my last serenade, and it starts off by repeating that within the song, and then it goes, this revelation is the death of ignorance, tangled in a state of suffocation, slave to self-righteousness, damnation is on your lips.
Yeah.
And I wrote notes here so I can sort of remember. It's like somebody who's caught up in a sense of perfectionism or order, and they're using their perfectionism or order to blame everyone, or see a picture, kind of see themselves as the victim. And I mean, if you're looking at the truth, it's going to take away that sort of facade that we all put up a facade saying that we're really good people all the time. And it's not to say that you shouldn't try to be a good person. It's to say that you shouldn't try to put on a facade of being a good person, putting on a fake face of being something that in your heart you're technically not. And I'm guilty of this as anyone else. It's like something that they call like narcissism now, and narcissism is mentioned so much that I almost consider it a joke. It's almost like there's covert narcissism, there's double agent narcissism. It's silly, but I think that this shows that you can spend your time blaming everything around you and suffocate yourself with what is just basically bitterness against the world, against other people, or just the situation being bad, and you're hiding behind self-righteousness. It's all on the facade of self-righteousness. Yeah.
Very relevant, actually. Yeah, narcissism is actually a lot everywhere. So many people talk about it. I still don't fully comprehend it. But the idea of a person feeling insecure and then they have a set of rules, and the set of rules is adjusted all the time to fit the current situation.
Yeah.
And sometimes the set of rules is adjusted so they kind of position themselves in their head to be a victim and other people perpetrators, and
I do it too. Everyone does it.
Maybe like I think it's humane somehow, like it's natural.
Yeah.
like it's what we had been taught, basically. If you have done something wrong, you should be punished. So there it is. But then somebody else did something and you felt hurt, like really hurt. And then you have to think, if I'm hurt, then that person has done something wrong. And if you are intelligent enough, you can convince yourself massively, like you can build up the whole castles of why they did what they did on purpose, or why they did what they did because they're inherently evil. And then you go and punish them because you're self-righteous, and you dominate them, and like you speak out the thing. But the reality is you got hurt, and this should be looked at. Why? Like not immediately going into punish mode.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if punishment actually helps. If
Well,
deep on the inside, you know, you are incorrect and you go on and punish others, you will have to keep convincing yourself why you're correct. Like you will have to keep lying to yourself. So that your punishment makes sense. Yeah, sorry.
I think punishment makes sense from maybe a head down sense, like a top down, like obviously from a government kind of discouraging behavior. That's obvious. Or, you know, the dad figure, the father figure, punishing from the top down, that would make sense. But when you go into dealing with emotions and what's really at the heart of the person's problems, and in order to have reconciliation, that's something different. That's not punishment. That's generally, punishment is usually the extreme measure that needs to be taken. Yeah.
I know people who have this absolute conviction that evil has to be punished, or like all forms of disrespect have to be punished, and have to be punished severely, so that nobody so that people will learn their lesson and stuff like that. The problem with that, I noticed that
there's no grace.
No grace is one of them, but there is another. Who is the judge of what actually happened? Because the person is absolutely subjective perception of reality, like, and then like completely misunderstands, misreads everything that is going on, and bases the absolutely pure rational conviction on feelings of hurt, which are not rational at all. Like they're not, there is no rational explanation to why would they get hurt. But like they take this personal thing and they put it on other people. And they're like, you're all guilty of me being hurt right now. And people are like, well, we did not do that to you.
I've done that before, like an idiot.
I think everybody done that. It's like making decisions out of hurt and then dealing with the consequences. So when the hurt passes, you have to deal with the consequences. Like, oh, I have done all of that. how can I repair that? Like, and then of course, the feeling, the idea of repairing broken things is more terrifying. It's like it's disarming, it's petrifying. It's like I can't repair anything. So like, what should I do?
This reminds me of what is it? The Never Ending Story.
Oh my God, I love it. I mean, the
Where
first one.
the not necessarily in the movie, but the book where Books basically has to clean up the mess that he made after gaining basically infinite power and infinite wishes, and he has to go around basically looking at the destruction that he caused and undoing all of that hurt and harm. And yeah, it's one of those interesting books that talks about the concept of both amazing creativity and also the inability to create. So it starts off with nihilism and then goes into creation, but then the person who creates all this mischief. It's really strange, but I like it.
It's very common. That's why people read it. It's like, I know that. Like, why do I know that? Like, why do I understand that? Very relatable, actually. That reminds me of the TV show called My Name is Earl, where
Oh yeah.
the guy wins the lottery and then he loses everything. Then he has to, oh, I have bad karma. I have to go and undo all the things I have done wrong. And then he makes a list. And then he goes. Hilarious. People check that TV show out. It's great.
Yes.
It's great. Yeah. Full of humor. Like great actors, actually. Like all of them. Amazing.
Yeah, I find it pretty funny.
Yeah. Okay. Next stanza.
From sorrow to serenity, the truth is absolution. From sorrow to serenity, it's on your head. This is my last serenade. I'll feel you as you fall away. This is my last serenade. From yourself, you can't run away. And I see this as very much being a case where the person isn't really confronting the truth of their own circumstances, and their judgment is on their head instead of it being on everyone else's head. And that's not to say that judgment can't be rightly put on everyone else's head, but you're never going to fix anything in your personal life or anything in your own heart by constantly just dwelling on the bitterness of, well, this should have been this way. This should have been this way. You just kind of shit on yourself, so to speak.
I'm thinking about perfectionism now.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is what this song is about.
Yeah, like this, like everything should have been precisely this way. And if something didn't go like precisely this way, then everything is like, no, it's wrong. It's like it goes into a kind of domino effect where everything starts to fall apart.
Unravel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you reach a particular peak of trying to do things, they will kind of fall, because from that height things become unstable. Yeah.
Can't run away. I feel you as you fall away. So like, I feel you as you fall away, and from yourself you can't run away. So he can see the details that went wrong, and he is already feeling like it's already so I feel you as you fall away, instead of like, this thing went wrong, let me fix that. I don't
Well,
know if you understand.
he's talking about another person who has this issue.
Oh,
So it's a serenade towards somebody he doesn't want to lose, who has the narcissism, who has the bitterness in their heart. So he's trying to serenade them. He's trying to what's the word I used? He's trying to entice, essentially, entice them to think about how bitter they're acting in their circumstances. And I've lost friends this way, friends who you might say it's almost like they had their Anakin Skywalker moments. They they went bitter, and they wanted too much order in their lives, and then they were also the victim of many things, so I could see why they were bitter. And there's always a reason to be bitter if you think about it. That's like a never-ending tunnel. I mean, you're always going to find a reason to say the glass is half empty, even if, quite frankly, it has really emptied in your circumstances for logical reasons. But still, concentrating on that bitterness, no matter what, is never going to help you. It's usually just going to hurt. And it's a very he's trying to serenade people out of that, or serenade a friend out of that.
I did not see it as a kind of conversational piece, but now that you mentioned it, now I see it. Somehow. Like, I listen to the song, it's like screaming at somebody, those words.
Yeah.
Like, from the song, of course, is like yeah, exactly. It's just like, it's like they just go for it. They want to be heard, although it was hard to distinguish in all that growling. So I had to read, oh, that's what from the rain. Okay, I get it.
Okay.
So
sorry,
it's funny, no, but it's actually appealing, again, relatable. Weirdly, that screaming, growling, red-faced kind of sort of delivery
it's something I get used to.
Yeah, like a lot of people get used to it. Like,
yeah,
it's comes with, like, I guess it's like traditional upbringing back in the day. Still now, I think.
I also think that it's a good way for it. I mean, a lot of people have so much pent up frustration or pent up anger or whatever, and I find that listening to somebody is kind of cathartic. So
yeah, it's like you're listening to that and like, oh, the dude gets me, nice. It's like, I feel you, bro. I feel you, like, been there, like I'm feeling it right now. Yeah. Thank you for saying it instead of me. Now I don't have to. Yeah, from yourself you can't run away. Like, what do you think about that line?
Well, that pretty much throws that really shows the circumstances. you're running in a circle essentially if you're holding on to things that make you bitter. You either have to act in such a way to seek out some sort of, I mean, either you really are trying to look for punitive justice, because, think of some people who are actually wronged for real, they were wronged. It's probably something they should seek punitive justice for. But if you're just going to sit there in bitterness and mill over things, no. And if you can't do anything about it, again, there's not much point dwelling on it.
Mhm.
Or at least dwelling on it, it's not going to change the circumstances, but maybe it's something to take note of, and then later on in time, what is it? Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will repay. That's kind of a difficult thing to understand, but yeah.
Yeah. I think he's addressing a person's truth. No matter where you go, there you are. And the reality will actually eventually present itself to you. Like you cannot escape it, because reality is there you are. And like the Last Serenade. It's an interesting combination, Last Serenade, but you can't run away. That mosaic itself.
He's trying to entice the person at one time, and in the other sense, make them understand that if the enticement isn't there, there's not too much that, I mean, it's kind of like downhill from there if all you do is, because it's like a feedback loop, a negative feedback loop, where the person is dwelling in bitterness, milling on the bitterness, and yeah, it's your choice. Point the finger, but it's on your head. Your destination is a choice within yourself. Will you rise or become a slave to self-righteousness? Open up your heart and gaze within. So what do you think?
Point the finger. It's your choice. I think he's blaming. It's the finger is on your head. It's kind of the entire song is the blame is on you, dude or girl, or whoever he's addressing this to, with those many words. Do we really need a lot of words to prove a point, or just few words be enough? Like honest words. Like you can keep going into all this elaborate conversation, like where it is, this is who you are. You are the type of dude who can like who is drowning in self-righteousness and like da 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 da. And the other person, upon hearing that, probably would go in defense mode.
Yeah.
The delivery itself is aggressive and blaming.
Yeah.
And it feels to me that those types of conversations do not bring the result that is intended. Like fewer words, just like would be more, would help more. Let's say would give a proper positive outcome, I think.
Well, it's a pouring out of this guy's heart towards his friend, which is, and yeah, I mean, it's because the way of it, because the way it's sung, it sounds like it's sung in frustration. And maybe to a certain degree, there's a possibility there, but I don't believe that was the intent. But there's definitely some truth to that. Yeah, you. I think the song is pointing out something that I think definitely needs to be pointed out, but at the same time, his delivery, yeah, it is a bit off, and but he's saying it's, in a way, he's saying it's your choice when you point the finger, but when you point the finger, it's technically on your head when you point the finger. And that's generally true for all of us. Whenever we point the finger at somebody or finger somebody and say, hey, that's the individual that's caused me so much harm, it's still going to be on your head. It's still going to be, I mean, even if you're frustrated with a person and they have done something, they have wronged you. Um, letting that bitterness take root in your heart is a matter of your own doing to a certain extent. Yeah.
He says, open up your heart and gaze within.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so the whole song is, nope, the problems are not there, they're within you. And also you're a slave to your self-righteousness.
I don't think he's saying that the problems are not there. I think he's just saying that you are a slave to you are wearing self-righteousness to the point of it causing you more harm than it actually helps you. It's causing you bitterness more than it's actually helping. You know, dwelling on, you can actually be justly injured and have complete just manner in which you are right to be frustrated with a person, but still you're inside that is something you're doing that's causing more harm, and it's going to birth more problems and more issues. And by letting it take root, by nurturing, let's say, your anger, or nurturing vengeance, or nurturing bitterness or cynicism, that's going to lead to a downfall.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
Hmm.
Actually, so he's looking out for a friend by pointing the direction that needs to be
towards the
explored.
reflection.
Yeah.
He's taking a mirror and saying, this is what.
I'm thinking about the delivery again. So basically, sometimes when you talk to a person who speaks a different language, you have to adjust and talk in their own language. Perhaps the other person, the friend, can only understand this language. Like that's the
Yeah.
only language they can hear, because every other language is just like, what's that sound? Nah, didn't hear anything. And this is the only delivery that works. This is also a possibility, right?
Mhm.
That might be like, until
And
you're being screamed at, you don't understand it.
yeah, I do notice that one thing that we can do in order to be too accommodating or try to get a point across too much is, in the process we don't realize it, but we're becoming manipulative in that sense. And connecting with a person on their level is not always something you can do. Sometimes you have to shout from a distance, and sometimes the communication is going to be rough. I mean, it certainly was rough when I consider what I believe in scripture as like, Jesus's words were very rough, towards the scribes and the Pharisees. But they were made example of, and yeah, there's, if you're trying to communicate to somebody on and get their heart to understand that they've done something wrong, sometimes all you have left, and that's why this is his last serenade, is he's run out of ways to communicate it. And this is like a song expressing his frustration.
Yeah. Excellent song.
Thank you.
Extremely relatable. Oh, like very timely. Yeah. It's like almost magically on time. That song.
Well,
Yeah.
good. I hope it helps and
Yeah.
it's fruitful. Yeah.
Okay. So, people, please check out Dust2Dust YouTube channel. I will provide the links below. Enjoy the gifts of free time. That is the sponsor of our today's podcast. And bye.
Bye.
And the most liked comment.
1 year ago, 2021, and I am 66 years old, and this is the band I listen to the most. So much, in fact, I bought a guitar and amp and trying to learn the tunes. Just the best band I ever heard. 1.7K
Yeah.
likes. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. That's the song that all the neighbors will love.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, it's like I'm sure they're like in a very nice neighborhood.
Gotta make sure you play it nice and loud so that everyone can hear it. And yeah.